Hi, I'm Alicia and welcome to my channel Papercraft Secrets. Today I'm sharing a beautiful set of 12 cards using Mintay Paper's Cozy Evening. This is a card making kit that is available on my website at www.papercraftsecrets.com.au. This video will step you through the entire process for how to make the 12 cards, and with the purchase of the kit you'll have everything that you need to create these cards at home. There is also a layout included in this kit that you can create, but the instructions for this layout will be in a separate video. Let's have a little talk through what is actually in your kit that you will receive so that you know exactly what you're getting. First of all, we have the beautiful Cozy Evening papers by Mintay. So these papers are 12 by 12 inches. They're a scrapbooking paper set, and we'll actually use pretty much every single paper to create our 12 cards and our layout from this kit. The other thing that is in your kit is these sentiment tags. Now this is a printable that I created, and I've printed it on high quality white cardstock. There's a mixture of sentiments: thank you, happy birthday, best wishes, thinking of you. So you can tailor the cards to your, what you desire. If you want a thank you card, you can make a thank you card. If you send more birthday cards, you can make them birthday cards. You will also receive a 10-pack of Kaisercraft cards and envelopes. These are a high quality card and envelope, 10 in a pack. We're making 12 cards, so there'll be an extra 2 added to the kit with an extra 2 envelopes so that you'll have enough to make all 12 of your cards. This is called Kaiser Mist. It's white. You'll be able to use this on all your projects. You shake it up, you spray it. It gives a little bit of a mixed media effect to your projects. So something that you can play with in your craft room after you've used the kit. This is a gorgeous champagne colored ribbon. You'll receive 5 meters of this in the kit. That'll give you enough to cut into 40-centimeter pieces. And this is white twine. You'll receive 4 meters of this in the kit, and that'll be enough for 30-centimeter pieces. So this is the contents of your kit. Plus you'll have a little sheet which will link you to the video tutorials, and it'll provide you with color photographs so you can see the cards and the layout pictures that you're creating. As I mentioned before, there'll be 2 projects, the set of 12 cards and the layout. This video is for the cards, so let's get started. So let's take a look at our Cozy Evening papers and get started in our card making. So this is the beautiful Cozy Evening Mintay paper collection. On the reverse, we have our fussy cut pictures. We have this beautiful cream page with images at the top and the bottom corners, and then a very distressed mixed media looking page in a sort of a clay color on the reverse. 2 of those. We have this wooden page, distressed wooden, and on the back it's like a door, fancy door. 2 pages of those. There's our door again. This page here, heavily clustered page in the corners, and on the reverse a very distressed vintage brown paper, 2 of those. Now this page here, we get 2 of these. I've already cut one of those pages up, and I will step you through how I did that. There's lots and lots of small floral clusters that you can cut from this sheet, and this will be beneficial for our cards and also for our scrapbook layout. We have a leaf page here. Oops, I forgot to show you this page on the back. Sort of like a sort of water-stained terracotta page. And here we have the watercolor mint green page on the back of our leaves. And then we have 2 of the number 6 papers, which are your pictures, and I went through and fussy cut all of those. A little squirrel, vase of flowers, the macrame wall hanging, a deer, suitcases and a lantern, another macrame wall hanging, a lantern, a fire, another wall hanging, a puppy dog with blankets, another puppy dog on a pillow, and a seat with a pumpkin. So there are pictures. So you're going to need to fussy cut all of those out. And you can do this sitting in front of the television or, you know, anywhere that's relaxing, chatting with a friend. You don't have to sit at the craft table to cut those out. You can do that anywhere. And on the reverse of that page, we have the frames. We're going to need all 12 of those frames. So you can fussy cut those out as well before we get started. So there we go. So there is quite a little bit of fussy cutting involved in creating these projects. And so I encourage you to do that in a comfortable, relaxed manner where you can sit down and enjoy. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. You can do it over a few settings. I carried some little fussy cutting things in a snap block bag with my scissors in my handbag, and I cut when I'm watching or waiting or I'm chatting with a friend. Sometimes I do it in front of the TV. So that's those 2 pages there that we're going to fussy cut out, the frames and the little pictures. And then this is for the cards. So we're also going to need this page here. And I'm going to talk you through how to fussy cut that out now. So you might look at this page and think this is a little bit overwhelming to cut. There's so many little patterns. So what I wanted to do is take you through how I approach this task. So I begin at the edge of the page, and here I'm just cutting off 1 flower. And then I'm moving to another flower and just cutting roughly around that flower. So I start on the edge and I just work my way in through the pattern. Now there's some things that I might decide, you know what, I'm going to cut that little bit off. I don't really need that in my design. And you'll find that you do sometimes cut something off that you don't really want, and that's not a problem. So I'm just taking my time. This video is on double speed, so I'm going at half this speed in real life. And I'm just cutting around those floral clusters in a rough way. I'm not going in and out and right next to the illustration yet. I'm just breaking this page up into different flowers. Now, once you have mastered this technique of seeing a page of floral clusters and cutting them out, you really do open up a big door to yourself in terms of card making and scrapbooking and budget, because these flowers can really create a fabulous effect. And I'm sure that you've probably got quite a few of these sort of designed pages in your collection at home. You'll be able to get a lot out of them if you're prepared to just take a little bit of time and fussy cut out these flowers, I can tell you that you will reap the benefits in your projects. So we're going to use one sheet of these little flowers in our cards, and we're going to need use another whole sheet of these flowers on our scrapbook layout. So I am making my way patiently through this sheet of flowers, and I'm just roughly cutting around each one. And I'm almost down to the last little pieces of the page. And once I have cut all of these out, I can pop these into my snap block bag with my scissors, pop them into a handbag and cut them out at another time. So I want to take you through how I fussy cut these flowers in case you're new to fussy cutting, or maybe you just want to try to pick up a few extra tips when it comes to cutting out small intricate things. So here we have our floral cluster. We're going to take our scissors and come in next to this leaf. We're leaving a very small gap of the green background around the image. We're going around this leaf, back up, moving the paper around this leaf, back up. Our scissors don't move that much. It's more our hand turns the paper so that our scissors can go around where we want to cut. Back in around this leaf, up the stem, around another green leaf, in down into that little green leaf, back out. Now we're going to go around those white flowers. And around this green leaf. Pointing back down, up and around the white flower, down around the rose. Now you may choose to go around these little orange spotty things, or you may choose to cut them off. That's up to you. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you cut something off, don't stress. No one's going to even notice. It's quite an enjoyable process, fussy cutting, if you just relax and don't sort of worry about trying to do it as quickly as you can. As soon as you start to rush, it becomes a bit of a chore. Just take your time around this leaf. We're almost finished now, this little white cluster, going in and around that leaf, around the white flower, up that little leaf there, down the back side of it, around a tiny leaf, and we are finished. And there is our white floral cluster. Beautiful. Once you have all of those cut out, we're ready to start our card making. You'll have lots of little scrappy pieces that you'll need to put into the bin or into a little scrap container. And let's move on now to creating our cards. So you're going to receive these Kaiser Craft cards and envelopes. It's a packet of 10, but you'll receive 12 cards and envelopes because in this kit we're making 12 beautiful cards Now, when you get your cards, it's a good idea to just check that they are all opening the same way. Usually, when you get one of these packets of Kaiser Craft cards, 5 open one way and 5 open the other. So it's a good idea to just go through and get them all facing the same way so you don't accidentally start gluing your card onto the back of the card instead of the front of the card. We're going to start with this beautiful green paper. Number 5, it is. It's got the leaves on the back. So take your number 5 paper, place it into your paper trimmer and cut it 6 inches. Cut it 6 inches again, and then we're going to turn our page horizontal and cut it 4 inches. So you'll be able to fit 3 4-inch rectangles across your top, 6 by 12, and 3 4-inch rectangles across your bottom, 6 by 12. Grab your second number 5 paper and repeat, cut it 6 inches, cut it 4, and cut it 4 inches. Then we're going to cut that again at 6 inches, turn it around, and cut it 4 and 4. So that'll give you 12 background papers. And this beautiful green one is going to go on the inside of our cards for a message. So that's what that's for. We're going to repeat that process now for the front of the card. This time we're using a different page. This time we're using number 1. It's got this on the back. So we're going to cut that at 6 inches. We're cutting that again at 6 inches. Then we're going to rotate it and cut it at 4 and cut it at 4. Do the same on this side, cut at 4, cut at 4. Grab our second page and do exactly the same thing. So it's very simple. We're making 12 little front layers for our cards. Cut at 4, cut at 4, and 4 and 4 again. So you'll have 12 of these sort of pinky pages, and you'll have 12 of the green. The green is going to go inside the card, the pink is going to go on the front of the card. Now we'll start to glue. I'm going to do my inside first. So just some glue on the back and then putting that evenly inside the card. And then we will just repeat that process with all of our cards. So opening up the second card, putting some glue around the edges and on the back, and then gluing that into the inside of our card. And just continue with that process until all of the cards have their green insert securely glued into the inside. Once that is all done on all of the cards, we're going to glue our front cover one on, the sort of pinky, creamy one. Just some glue on the back of the paper and then positioning that in the center of the front of the card. And we need to continue that process with all of the cards until we have all of them glued on securely. And now we have the pinky creamy paper on the front and the green paper on the inside of all of our cards, and we're ready to start our next step. So now we're going to measure 5.5 by 3.5. That's our new measurement. We're taking page number 2. We will cut at 5.5. And then we will cut at 3.5. There's our 3.5 cut and our 3.5 cut. We'll have a little scrap. We're going to cut again at 5.5. Depending on the picture, you may want to cut from one end or the other. It's up to you, but you need a 5.5 rectangle. And then we will cut at 3.5 again, going horizontally across the page. And that's one page done. I'm going to choose a different page for this cut, for this second set of cuts. It's this page here, which I do believe is number 3. Going to cut it at 5.5 by 3.5. A little scrap. Yes, so that is 2 different pages for a little bit of variety with our cards, and that'll make 12 that we need. This is going to be the second layer on our cards. So we're going to use some recycled cardboard in between our layers if you want to. If you don't want to, you can just glue it straight down and make a flat card. I use shoe boxes or nappy white boxes or any sort of recycled cardboard that's not too thick for this purpose. So I've just cut my recycled cardboard up into some little strips, and I'm going to glue these strips onto the back of my rectangles to add some dimension. So just a little bit of glue on the back of the cardboard, and this allows me to create that dimension on my cards. Once all of the cardboard is stuck down onto that rectangle, we're going to glue the rectangle directly onto the center of our card. This is adding another layer onto our card. It creates interest and dimension, and it gives us a base to put more layers onto. I'm going to be doing lots of layering on these cards, lots of paper layers. So they're all done now. You can see our first layer that we've added to our card. It's time now to get ready for our next amount of layers, which will be our frame. You may like to spread your cards out in front of you on your table. I'll just do 6 at the moment because that's all I can really fit into my screen. And then you can again use some recycled cardboard. Stick our recycled cardboard onto the back of our frames. So just a bit of glue, pop that down, and then we're just sitting it there for now. You can actually go ahead and glue them down if you would like. I wasn't sure about the exact position of these cards when I created this video. I didn't know whether I wanted my frames dead center or whether I needed them slightly to one side. But after creating the cards, I can tell you that you actually do want them dead center. So if you wanted to glue these down onto your cards now, you could, or you can do it with me a little bit later. Before we go any further, I need to tell you about the ribbon. Now you'll get 5 meters of this gorgeous, sort of a champagne colored ribbon in your kit. And that is enough for 12 40-centimeter bows. All right, so if you want to either halve your ribbon and cut it in half, you can do that. And then halve it, cut it in half again. You can cut it up that way, or you can measure 40 centimeters and cut it that way. Once you have cut all the ribbon up into pieces, take it and just put it under the tap and wet your ribbon. Then once your ribbon's all wet, you can just separate each one and roll each one into a little ball, and that will crinkle your ribbon. So just go through and do that for each of your 12 little pieces of ribbon, and then you can leave them to dry overnight. Once they're dry, then you can stretch them back out, and you'll see that you now have a lovely crinkly sort of ribbon that we're going to tie into a bow. Now this is just one technique. You can leave your ribbon straight. If you don't like the crinkled look, don't crinkle your ribbon at all. Just keep it straight and tie it into a bow. Completely up to you. The crinkled ribbon just gives a little bit more of a distressed kind of look to the ribbon. A little bit more texture, that sort of thing. So just go through and make a bow with each of those 12 pieces, and then they'll be ready for our cards. All right, so back to our cards. Now that we've got our ribbon, I needed to sort of have the ribbon so that I could see how much room I needed to leave for our little frames, because we don't want our cards sort of bottom heavy. So I'm back to just popping these little frames on the top of these 6 cards, and you can choose which frames you think go better with the picture on the front of the card, and it's all a bunch of a muchness. Now our ribbon is going to be positioned in the corner, the bottom left-hand corner of our cards. So it's the corner of the frame that we're talking about. So you can see that we're not really needing to place our frames anywhere special. We're just going to center them in the middle. And then on top of our frame is where we will place our picture. Now these are our fussy cut pictures that we've already cut out, so everything's ready for us to go. And we're just choosing the picture that we like, that we think goes best with the card. And there's no right or wrong here, it's just a creative process. Everyone's cards will be a little bit different, or you might wish to make yours exactly the same as these cards in the video, completely up to you. So our next step is to add recycled cardboard to the back of our pictures so that they will be a little bit elevated on our cards, but if you prefer, you can just glue them straight down without anything in between to create a flat card. And here are the second 6 cards. So we're going to place our frames on those, and then we're going to choose a picture for each of those cards and add our recycled cardboard onto the back of each of those pictures so that everything's ready. inside your kit you will receive these tags. They're like a sentiment tag or a sentiment ticket page, and you just need to cut out the tickets. There's a variety of sentiments: thinking of you, happy birthday, best wishes, thank you. You can choose whichever sentiment suits you the best, whether you need birthday cards, thank you cards, or generic cards. There's something for everyone in this little tag sheet. So you can choose a tag for each card. And we're getting ready to assemble our card now. So let's just start with one to get us started. So we're going to add some glue to the back of our frame, and we're going to position that in the middle of our card. Next, we take our picture and we're going to add glue to the back of that and position that into the middle of our frame. Then we're going to add our ribbon in the bottom corner of our frame. And then our ticket. We're going to put a little bit of recycled cardboard on the back of our ticket, and then we can paste that onto our picture. Moving on to our second card now. We are adding some glue on the back of our frame, positioning that in the middle of our card, and then adding our image on top of that, and then our sentiment, putting a little bit of recycled cardboard on the back, gluing that on, and our ribbon in the corner. Okay, that's looking good so far. Now what we're planning to do with our ribbon is to add one of our white floral clusters onto the top of the ribbon or just next to the ribbon. So I'm just putting some recycled cardboard on the back of that, and you can see how I've slid that underneath the best wishes sign and over the top of the ribbon. Now what we are also going to add to this little embellishment cluster is some of our white twine. So in your kit you will receive enough white twine to make 12 30cm lengths, and this is just one that I've already tied into a bow, and I'm just going to glue it on top of my ribbon bow underneath that little white floral cluster, just to give a little bit more texture to our embellishment cluster, and that looks very pretty. What we will also do is add a little pink floral cluster underneath our picture there, just to add a little more floral detail to our card. So let's just do the same to this card here. We've got our white floral cluster, and we're going to use a white twine bow, and we're going to add that into our embellishments here. So a little bit of glue on top of the ribbon for the white twine bow. And then depending on whether you need some recycled cardboard or you can just glue that straight on, just add that in there. And then a little pink flower there in the top. Looking beautiful. Let's get all of our twine cut up now. So we're cutting it into 30 centimetre lengths. And once you have cut enough, you need to tie all of those into bows so that they're ready to go for our cards. They don't have to be perfectly even, just roughly even. Let's move on to our next card now. We're going to put glue on the back of our frame and glue that down. We're gluing down our picture on top of our frame, and then we're going to glue our sentiment at the top on this card. We don't want to cover up that little puppy dog. We're going to put our ribbon and our twine bow in the corner of our frame. Then we're grabbing a little flower and we're going to pop that on top of our bows to decorate. Got a little flower going in at the side, and then our best wishes sentiment at the top there. We're going to add another little flower in the top there if you feel like you'd like one. And then that card is ready. It's beautiful. Okay, moving on to our next card. Following the same process, gluing on the frame, gluing on the picture, gluing on the ribbons and the twine, and gluing on the sentiment. Now, if you want to, you could ink the edges of your sentiment. You may have an ink in your stash that might create more of a vintage look. Adding in our flowers on top of our ribbon and our twine, and adding in our flowers at the top there. Looking very beautiful. Next card, following the same process, frame and picture, ribbon and twine. Just making sure that's straight. Ink the edges of your sentiment if you wish. Glue the sentiment on. Adding a floral cluster on top of the bow. There we go. And then just some little flowers at the top to decorate. Beautiful. It's a very sweet thank you card. Moving on now to this thank you card. Doing our frame, doing our picture, cute little deer picture, our ribbon and our twine bow, and our sentiment. Remember, you can ink the edges if you want to. Gluing that down. Then we have our little floral cluster that we're going to glue on. So pretty, those flowers. And then if we wanted to add any flowers in, we can do so at the top. Create an extra layer. And there's our beautiful card. It's gorgeous. Maybe we should add a little flower in down at the bottom where there's that blank space. Beautiful card. Okay, moving on to our next card. Following the same process, frame, picture. It's a cute little bird picture. Now, the ink is not included in the kit, but if you have an ink at home that you can use, it certainly does add just a little bit to our tag sentiments. Adding your bows. Adding our sentiment. Adding our little flowers. Just popping that on top of our bows. Doesn't always have to be a white one, it can be a pink one on top of the bows. And then maybe a couple at the top. Pulling them straight down. And there's our beautiful card. And now we're going to move on to our next card here. Again, gluing down our frame, gluing down our picture. Making sure everything's straight, inking the edges of our sentiment. Gluing down our sentiment. Adding in our bows. Adding a little bit of cardboard down for our little flowers to sit on. There we go, that's looking pretty. And a couple of little flowers at the top. Beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous card. It's beautiful. Next card, same process again. Different picture. Let's do the last ones all together. Let's do them in bulk so it's quicker. Frames down, pictures down, frame and picture. Frame and picture. This is our last 4 cards. We're almost finished. It's quicker to do them in bulk like this. If we do everything the same at once, it actually takes a lot less time. Bows for all 4 cards. There we go. There's our four ribbon bows. Now we'll add in our 4 little twine bows. All looking good. Let's look for our sentiments that we're going to use. Beautiful. A couple of happy birthdays, a thank you, and a thinking of you sentiment. We're inking those edges if we want to. Adding some little pieces of cardboard to the bottom of each of those sentiments, and we're just gluing those onto our cards. Okay. All looking beautiful. Now for our little flowers. A little bit of recycled cardboard in the corner there to balance out our flowers. And then our flower on top. That one needed a double piece of cardboard just to get it high enough to sit nicely. There we go. Looking beautiful. Now our little flowers at the top, the extra decoration. Maybe one down the bottom for a bit of decoration. Looking beautiful. And just check your cards to see if you want to add in any more little floral clusters to add to the decoration of the card. If there's a little blank spot, you might want to fill that up. Now, as part of your kit, you do get a Kaiser mist spray. You need to give it a really good shake before you use it. Then we just want to clear our desk now and put our card down onto some paper or something. We're going to cover up our sentiment because we don't want our sentiment to get sprayed. If you get too much on, just wipe it off with your finger. You don't want anything too blotchy. So put that on there on the sentiment and spray the card. Again, if there's anything too blotchy, just wipe it off with your finger. We don't really want the squirrel's head to be all blotched out. So we can cover that up as well. Little sprays on the card. You can see when it starts to dry that it's not as white as when it first comes out. It's a very subtle spray with a little bit of glitter in it. The other way you can apply it is with a paintbrush by dipping your paintbrush in the jar and then flicking it onto your card. That's a more controlled way of getting the paint onto your card. So just keep going through, covering up your sentiment and any little animal faces, and then spraying that white Kaiser mist onto your card just to finish it off, to give it a little bit of a mixed media feel to it. Sort of softens it a little bit as well. Spraying all of those cards. With your Kaiser mist spray, and you'll be able to use this product on lots and lots of your creative projects. And that brings us to the end of the card making tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I really hope that you enjoy creating your cards with the kit. You can purchase the kit at www.papercraftsecrets.com.au. Don't forget also that we have the layout that will be made with the same materials, and that will be a separate video on YouTube so that you can watch and create along with me for that layout. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would love it if you could, and would like to thank you for watching, and I wish you a lovely crafty day.